The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf.
This year we'll do 50 to 55,000 ounces of gold at just over a $2,000 all-in sustaining cost. So generating significant cash flow to be able to put Ana Paula into production that'll add 100,000 ounces a year at a $1,000 AISC to our production mix.
Very welcome back inside our Proactive newsroom. Joining me now is Stephen Soock. He's the Investor Relations and Development Vice President for Heliostar Metals. And Stephen, it's good to see you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Great to see you too.
Yeah, excited. I know you've had some recent highlights for your Q1s. We'll talk about that in just a second. And you're producing now, which is exciting. You've got lots of things on the go. So maybe just take a step back and remind everyone a little bit about the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So Heliostar Metals is on track to be the next mid-tier gold producer. We've got a clear pathway to get to 300,000 ounces a year annually of production by the end of the decade. We can do that entirely within our organic pipeline of development projects that we own 100% of. And really what sets us apart is our ability to do that without raising any additional equity. We've got this bootstrapping methodology where we can turn small-scale production into cash flow, into more meaningful production and more meaningful cash flow, culminating on bringing our Ana Paula project online in 2028, which will be a cash engine for the company going forward and onwards and upwards from there.
Yeah, you mentioned Ana Paula, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but you have other assets as well, including one that's producing right now, right?
Two actually. So we've got
Yeah.
two mines that we bought just over a year and a half ago. When we got them, they were in care and maintenance or shutdown. We've since brought them both back into production. The first one, La Colorada, we started producing from stockpiles that were already stacked on surface within weeks of closing the acquisition in late 2024. And that really was a major milestone for the company. That allowed us to become a producer very quickly and catch that tailwind in the gold price through 2025. So from those stockpiles, we produced almost $25 million worth of cash flow from what was essentially a zero capex exercise. And then our second asset, San Agustin, we got the first new open pit mine expansion permit in Mexico under the Sheinbaum administration in July last year. Brought the mine back online in December, started pouring gold in January, and have since ramped that mine up very quickly. And that's going to be a major cash flow driver and producer for us through 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, and let's talk about Ana Paula. You mentioned that you're looking at 2028 for production. So what sort of work needs to be done there to get you to that point?
So there's it's an asset that's actually had over $100 million invested into it. So we've got a pretty good running start. There's a power line to site, a 85-person camp. There's actually a portal established and about a third of a decline towards the deposit. So lots of good infrastructure. Right now, we just wrapped up an infill drill program focused on upgrading inferred ounces into a higher level of confidence. That'll go into a feasibility study that we're working on steadily through this year. That'll come out in just over 12 months' time. That'll be our construction document and our bankable feasibility study for to have the mine financed and up and running. So alongside that, we're also doing all the boring background technical stuff that lets you put into a mine into production successfully, metallurgical testing, geomechanical evaluations, all that advanced engineering on the mill, things like that. So we'll have an update on that probably partway through the summer, and then really culminating in that full feasibility study coming out in Q2 2027.
Yeah, I mentioned your Q1 highlights, and the reason why I mentioned it is because it puts you in an interesting category within the mining space. And as I mentioned, you're producing record numbers here of gold, record numbers of silver. Like the company is really able to see the capital that you need to put into other assets by what you're doing right now.
Yeah, that's right. I think of us less as a junior producer and more as an organically funded developer is how I like to frame our story.
Sure.
We're able to use this cash flow from our production, which is not insignificant. This year we'll do 50 to 55,000 ounces of gold at just over a $2,000 all-in sustaining cost. So generating significant cash flow to be able to put Ana Paula into production that'll add 100,000 ounces a year at a $1,000 AISC to our production mix and really drive the company forward. But to get there, we produced almost 12,000 ounces of gold in Q1 at an AISC of just below $2,000 an ounce. So today's gold price environment, very strong margins. That generated over $30 million of operating cash flow for us. that we're reinvesting back into the business, into some of these growth projects, into advancing Ana Paula, into exploration to expand our resource base and extend mine lives. That'll continue a path over the next years or two to generate what we think will be about $150 million of internally generated cash flow. That'll fund the equity portion of the Ana Paula construction alongside a project finance facility to get that really flagship asset up and running shortly.
So, Stephen, just wrapping up here, it sounds like it's the next 6 months to a year and beyond are quite busy for the company. There's gonna be a lot of things happening.
That's right. We'll have continued drill results out across our portfolio, update on the Ana Paula progress, additional growth projects that you'll start to get more updates on in the second part of the year. And then just that blocking and tackling. That's the quarterly results showing that the strategy is working, that we're generating cash flow, generating strong margins, we're reinvesting the business and building the treasury alongside all of that growth execution along the way.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for sure. Stephen, thanks so much. Good update from you, and appreciate your time. We look forward to following your story, okay?
Great. Thanks a lot, Steve.
All right, there's Stephen Soock. He's the Vice President of Investor Relations and Development for Heliostar Metals.
The featured company is a paid client of Proactive Group Holdings, and this recording is disseminated by Proactive on its behalf. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, an offer, or a solicitation to buy or sell any securities. Viewers should conduct their own research and consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Proactive Group Holdings, trading as Proactive Investors or its affiliates. No responsibility is accepted for any loss arising from reliance on the information presented.